Well, David Brody is CBN's chief political correspondent, and he joins us now from Washington. David, it looks like we're going to have a battle royale on this, and then both parties are going to have to pull out all the stops. What are you hearing?
Yeah, it's a battle, and quite frankly, that battle's already taking place. We know the President of the United States met with Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, two moderate pro-choice senators, as we heard Abby speak about in that piece. And so already some of that negotiation is on because, look, this is crucial right here. You see them up there, Collins and Murkowski. They really hold a lot of the sway here, 51-49 in the Senate. They've got to get 50 votes, and I say 50 because Mike Pence would come in and break the tie, so they need 50. But if they lose Murkowski and Collins, then we have all sorts of math issues and Democrats come into play and all of that. So it'll be interesting to watch.
Well, what about John McCain in the final vote tally? He's battling for his life right now. What about him?
Well, there has been talk about the fact that maybe John McCain, there might be a chance that he would retire before the vote actually happens, most likely in the fall. I am told by a source close to McCain that chances of that is low, very low, actually. And so there's no sense that John McCain is going to retire anytime soon. Obviously, the idea is that if he would retire, he's probably not going to be able to make it to Washington, D.C. for the vote. So Republicans can't count on that vote. And, of course, Arizona has a Republican governor who would then appoint someone to that Senate seat. But it doesn't look like any of that is happening, Gordon.
Who do you think the top picks are? Everybody's sort of I guess second-guessing the president on this one. Who do you think is the top ones in the running for the nomination?
Well, I've talked to multiple sources of mine, and three names keep coming up. Brett Kavanaugh, also Thomas Hardiman, and Coney Barrett. Now, Amy Coney Barrett's interesting because many of my sources, evangelical in nature, love her. They believe that she is the one that if they had their kind of dream pick, that she would be the one. She's a mother of seven, devout Catholic, Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. She's come under fire before, Gordon, for her religious views. Dianne Feinstein actually grilling her when she was becoming a Seventh Circuit federal judge about how she said, this is Feinstein's quote, about how the dogma lives loudly within you, is what she said to Amy Coney Barrett, So talking specifically about the fact that Barrett has been very outspoken in her Catholic views and God and all of that. So that could be a flashpoint for sure. It has already been a flashpoint. Having said that, very important to point out here, Gordon, that in Barrett's confirmation hearing, when it came to the yeas and nays, two Democrats, Joe Manchin, Joe Donnelly, both voted for Barrett. So if you look at it that way, and if what the White House is thinking here and trying to game it out a little bit, that, look, they've already voted for her to be a federal appeals court judge. I understand the Supreme Court may be a bit different, so to speak. But, look, they are on record of voting for her. So that may be cover if Murkowski and Collins, the Republicans, go the other way. Because, look, if Murkowski and Collins go the other way, they're going to need a Democrat or two to get this thing through.
Is the age of the nominee a factor here? I mean, one of the things going for Judge Barrett is she's still in her 40s. So you could have an influence on the court for 4 decades. Is that an issue?
It's a big issue. As a matter of fact, in private meetings that I've actually been involved with the president and some of those White House senior aides, they always talk about how age is a very good thing and younger the better. And you're right. Barrett's in her mid-40s, so that's important. She's also obviously a woman. And when you're a woman, and if Roe v. Wade, we've heard this talk about Roe v. Wade possibly either being overturned or scaled back. Look, you've got 3 Supreme Court justices, females, on the liberal side. Donald Trump's a big fan of optics, and to have a pro-life, though she wouldn't term herself pro-life in hearings for sure, but for someone that clearly is a devout Catholic and could come potentially on a Roe v. Wade hearing or ruling, excuse me, and she's a woman on that side of the ledger, on the conservative side of the ledger. That's a good thing for the White House. I will also tell you, a White House aide just telling me this morning that the president wants this done quickly. What a shock that Donald Trump wants to move quickly. But the White House is telling me that they are making this not only just priority number one, but you will see a swiftness to all of this. And I would also point out, Gordon, very important here, a lot of people talk about the fight coming in the summer and the fall. The fight is really happening right now to define exactly who Donald Trump is going to pick. A lot of voices in his ear, a lot of prayer needed for this president regardless, but especially on this because he's getting a lot of different opinions. And remember, he's got to make the calculation. Are Murkowski and Collins going to have some sort of effect to make this pick a bit more moderate in nature because Trump knows that he has to get them on board, or at least Donnelly and Manchin, who are also moderate. So it'll be interesting to see how bold he goes. I'm thinking with Trump, he's probably going to go pretty bold.
Well, that's a pretty good guess, and that's a pretty good guess. He's going to try to make this happen very quickly, but it's also a pretty good guess. This is going to be the battle royale. I open with that. The Democrats are going to pull out all the stops. You're going to hear a lot of doomsday talk coming out of both parties.
Yeah, and just one quick last note, why the midterms are, we know the midterm elections are so important, but let's remember, you've got Ruth Bader Ginsburg in her mid to upper 80s. I'm not quite sure how old she is exactly, but Stephen Breyer is obviously up there as well. If the Democrats win control of the Senate, you can forget a Ruth Bader Ginsburg or a Stephen Breyer retiring. They may want to retire, but if the Democrats control the Senate, they're going to hold up that potential Supreme Court nomination, just like the Republicans did with Merrick Garland when Merrick Garland was put up before the Republicans and the Democrats, and the Republicans, Mitch McConnell, said, no, I'm not going to put up Merrick Garland because Obama was a lame duck president. Well, Democrats would do the same thing. So this could be it. It could be just 2 Supreme Court rather than 3 picks, possibly, if Democrats control the Senate.
All right. Very important election, very important nomination. And David, thank you for the analysis. Keep Judge Barrett in mind. Here's someone, she's a Catholic charismatic. She goes to the People of Praise Church, and if she's the nomination, that would be absolutely incredible. She'll have 40 years on the bench, and that let's be in prayer.